5, which is the p-value, I'm going to need to know whether this is one-sided or two-sided in order to know whether to multiply it by 2 or not multiply it by 2. So this note normally helps me to remember stuff, okay? And then in step 3, you're basically stating when are you going to reject H naught, okay? Before I write when I'm going to reject H naught, I sort of try and draw my rejection region, okay? My rejection region is going to be on the left, and it's guided by this sign. So if this sign is less than, my rejection region is going to be on this side. If this sign was greater than, my rejection region was going to be on this side. If this sign was not equals to, when you're saying it's not equal to, you're saying it can be less than, it can be greater than, therefore I was going to have 2 rejection regions. So in this case, my rejection region is sitting right here. The reason why this picture helps me is because I already know right now that this is a standard normal, meaning that 0 is the mean, right? So anything that's below here, I know they are negative numbers, okay? So here I know that this, I usually call this value the bodyguard, okay? So this is going to tell me whether something is going to be rejected or not rejected, okay? So our bodyguard is our critical value. In this case, it's minus z of alpha. Again, this one-sided point is always going to help me because if this was two-sided, I was going to need to divide my alpha by 2. Because it's one-sided, I just write alpha on its own because it's a one-sided test. Okay? So this part that I have shaded here is what I call my rejection region. So any value that I observe that falls in this region, I'm going to reject. Okay? So now in this step, I'm writing actually that mathematically. So here I'm going to say, I am going to reject H naught if the value of Z that I observe is below this value, is below minus Z of alpha. Then I go check minus Z of alpha, what it is in my table, right? That's the rejection region. In their case, they said minus Z of alpha is actually minus 2.326. And then step 4 is the easiest step as long as you've got step 2 correctly, okay? So step 4, you're basically substituting into this equation and calculating the observed value, okay? So step 4 is just the calculation of Z observed. They have observed minus 2.53. So here, it's a probability that Z is less than our Z observed, which is minus 2.53, okay? And then obviously, you can't get the probability of a negative number, so you'd have to change this to the probability of Z being greater than 2.53, and you can't get the probability of Z being greater than a value, therefore you have to change this to 1 minus the probability that Z is less than 2.53, and you get the p-value number. I think they got 0.0057. So it's 0.0057. So now in your conclusion, you have 2 things that you're paying attention to. What you said in step 3 and also what you have observed in step 5. Okay? So the last step, which is step 6, we are trying to see whether this happened or not. So now you're going to say since, or you can say because, doesn't matter, since Z observed, you were expecting that Z observed is going to be less than negative 2.53. So you're going to say since Z observed, which is equal to minus 2.53, okay, is indeed less than Z of alpha, which is equal to minus 2.326, okay? And now you're noting what happened with the p-value. And the p-value, which is equal to 0.0057, is less than alpha. Because the p-value is less than alpha and Z observed is less than the Z of alpha, you're going to do what? You're going to reject. Okay? So finish it up. We
Reject H naught.
we reject H naught
With something
And-
0.1.
Oh.
Level of significance 0.1.
at a
Level of significance.
1% level of significance
Yeah. And then
And-
you state those
and
things. What was the
conclude.
question?
and conclude.
That
Oh.
there is
The company
sufficient
can.
evidence.
Okay? If you are rejecting H naught, you can't reject H naught without sufficient evidence. So you're gonna reject H naught because there is sufficient evidence to prove that. So remember, if you're rejecting H naught, you are saying this is not true. So what are you saying about the context of this example? You're saying that this company is actually paying substandard wages. Are we all happy with that? So this will continue stating the context of the example. Okay? So the most important things about hypothesis testing is knowing what you said with your rejection region and using your rejection region to structure your p-value and making sure that your step 4, the decision you're making in step 4, is the same as the decision you're making in step 5. Tandu has a question.
So in terms of the p-value,
Yeah.
would that mean that like regardless of the values that are there, the standard form is that p must be less than, and then if you don't reject, that's when p is less than with the
Not less
yeah,
than.
not
Yeah.
less than.
Mhm.
Is that how
You write it. Yeah.
at all times?
Yeah, that's how you write it. So if in this case we remember, it's also guided by what you're saying in your rejection region. So if in your rejection region you said, I'm going to reject if z observed is less than negative z of alpha. So when you're writing there, you're going to say since z observed is not. Okay, so you're not going to say since z observed is greater than. So you're saying since, back to what I had said, right? And then even here, your main concern here is the p-value less than alpha. And then you're gonna say in your conclusion, since my p-value is less than alpha, or since my p-value is not less than alpha, I'm going to do this. Okay? Okay, that's it. That is hypothesis testing.